Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher. Again, we are marching on. We have the bunting all painted and everything, all ready to rock and roll. And what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little, just a touch up on the beak. And that's put like a gloss medium on. And that should do it as far as the bird itself. And then what we're going to do is work on the feet. I'm going to also show you some arrangements I have to mount the bird, but I'm going to do it in stages. We will end up mainly working on the legs. We're going to try to get the legs in place, where they should be, how to prep them, and so on. So I want to take that time to show you how to do that properly, and then we can move on. Now I'm going to give you a couple different options, okay, on how to do that. I'll show you how you can, I won't say make your own legs. I do sell castings for just the toes, and I also have legs with the feet all attached. So all you do is just attach it onto the bird, and it makes life a lot easier. And if you're not doing competitive pieces, you really don't have to worry about having to make your own. And I do have a video out there that does show you in with copper how I made that. It is out there, and I did publish that a little while back. If you check into my videos, you'll see I do have a section on how to make feet. And if you wanted to use my castings as a model for it, they give you the length of the toes and everything, all associated with the bunting, okay, and the length of the leg and so on. So that's real helpful. And I do have them available if anybody wants it, and we can go from there. But I'm going to also show you, I'll show you how I hook up some of the legs with florist wire and just the toes. And then I'm also going to show you the casting, which is all one piece. Okay, and you have choices there. And the third choice is to make everything out of copper wire, okay? But I'm going to refer you back to my video on that one. If you're doing a competitive piece, a lot of times they require you to make your own feet. So if you refer back to that one, I don't know if it's under like a Q&A or something like that. I made one specifically for how to make feet with legs and so on. So, but I'm going to show you the easy way more than what I consider the easy way. I'm going to show you how I handle them, glue them up, and prep them, and we'll paint the leg as well, so that you can see how everything is prepared, so that we can finish the bunting. And then probably on the next video, I'll go into how to set the arrangement for the bunting on a piece of driftwood. I'll have a base and show you how to do all that too. So, and the other thing too is I would appreciate if anybody is enjoying these videos, that you would give me a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe to my channel, that would really help me out greatly. And as well as if you have a friend or somebody that's interested in doing some of the bird carvings, I'm going to probably do some more animals too. I did otters before, and I've done fish, I've done turtles, I've done polar bears, you name it, raccoons. I've done a variety of things. So if you're interested in any of that, I do have a catalog available. And if you would like to get one from me, all you need to do is send me an email of yours so I can automatically email you my catalog. It's about 5 or 6 sheets. Doesn't carry everything I have, but it gives you an idea of some of the things. And if there's things you're looking for, I could probably help you out on that. And if I don't have it, I'll put you in the right direction where to get it, okay? So again, I appreciate all the references you give for my channel and everything else. It really helps me out greatly. We're trying to grow the channel as much as we can, and appreciate that. I do, with the catalog, I also have the kits available if you want to do this project of the bunting step by step. I can give you a kit with the feet, the eyes, the pattern, the blank. And then if you want other ones, I have almost a whole slew of birds and animals that I have done that are available. So I can get that out to you, but you'll have to hit my email. My email is in the body of the description of this video, and it also, I'll give you, it's Rauscher, R-A-U-S-C-H-E-R, Frank, F-R-A-N-K, 7 at gmail.com. And if you just tell me you're looking for a catalog, I'll get that out to you. And I sell individually the feet, the eyes, the patterns, or whatever. So let me know, and we're going to move on and see if we can't get the legs ready and the feet and so on, and I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so bear with me and we'll be right back. Okay, we're off and running. I'm going to show you a couple different setups here. Here's the leg I'm using for the bunting. This is the leg and the feet. This has a post that goes into your base, and this goes into the bird, and it comes up to this threaded area here. And the toes, I arched a little bit and then made the nail come down a little bit. Okay, you don't want them flat. So I did that for both the right and the left. Okay, so we have these available. And then I did the same thing. I bent these a little bit so that they have a little bit of an arch so that they're not so flat. And these are very bendable. These, I guarantee won't break until you get them mounted, okay? And the holes in them, I've opened them up just a little bit. And I have a light wire here. This is I think a 16 gauge wire, and I'm running that through there, and I'm going to show you how to make the leg from this. And what we'll do is we'll take a measurement here, and I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to come in, and from where the leg turns and goes into the post going into the body, I'm going to measure that up, and it's about, let's see, let me get a real number here. I'll put this up against the ruler, and it looks like it's about, I'll say 5/8 in length. So what I'm going to do, just to show you, this is annealed steel. This is florist wire. You could literally bend this with your hand if you had to, okay? So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to bend it just a little bit, just like that. Then this is what would be going into the body. Then this is the leg coming down, and then I'll bend it from that joint to that joint and make sure it's 5/8 long. And I'll show you, I'll measure this. I'll come up here and from joint to where I bend it again is about 5/8 long, okay? So I'll get my pliers, and I try to bend this so it's all just a slight bend right there. And then I'm going to come in with my cutters, and I'm going to leave about almost a 1/2 inch. This here is a little long, so I'm going to cut that back. So you have something like this, okay? It has a slight bend to it. I'm going to maybe bend it by hand a little bit more. But what you want to do is make sure that the wire, when you lay it down on the table, it's flat. And if it isn't, try to get it so that the whole bend, both the top and the bottom, is in the same plane, okay? And another way to do it too is you can hammer the middle to get it a little flat, you know, and let me show you that too. I'll get a hammer here, and I have a metal block that I use for hammering. I used to do some jewelry design before, and this thing here, I'll put it over here so hopefully it's in your range to see this. And I'll come in right in the middle, not the ends, and I'll just hammer that one side, flip it over, then hammer it again, just in the middle, okay? And that is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do that one more time so that I have a pair of them, okay? So I'm going to come up here. Instead of cutting this, I'll just bend it slightly, and that's a 1/2 inch long. I'll measure this against this one, so we have the same. And it's there to there. And I measured that. And then I get my pliers, and I bend that slightly again. I come down here and get my cutters and cut that off. And now I come in and I just hammer the middle just a little bit on both sides, just to get a little bit of a flat in there. Just like that. Okay, so now I got two legs ready to go into feet. Now I'm going to show you how I put these together. I get some like styrofoam. This happens to be like something that was shipped to us at one time, and it was like a protective thing. It's like a sponge type thing, but if you can get a piece of that or styrofoam, it's perfect for that. I'm going to move these out of the way here in the castings, and I'm going to just use the toes. I'm going to show you how I go about doing this. I'm going to put the toes down right against here. And I hope you can see all this, and I'm not out of camera range, which drives me nuts sometimes that I do. Now, I'm going to come in, and remember, I'm going to go through the hole, and where the bend is just about bending going down, I stop right there. And then I come in again, and I'm going to do that for this one. And I just make sure that the bend just starts going down. Now, I want to get the leg in line with the back toe, so it's going front to back toe alignment, okay? This here, what I use is super glue, but it's the gel form. It's not the one I used on the beak, because the beak one is in, I'll show you that, that's in a red container, and you can get these at like a dollar store or something like that. This is very liquidy. This is for gapping, okay? And hopefully it's working today, because they send a setup sometime. That's why I like just buying it in a dollar store. If it sets up, I'm not wasting a lot of money. Now, what I'm going to do is make sure my leg is in line. I'm going to start squeezing this so that I have a little bit coming out, and I'm going to touch and use this applicator and try to go all the way around on the top here, okay? Now, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, or for the other one. I'm going to go all the way around, and then what I'll do, just to help myself, this tends to keep on oozing out, so I'm going to clean that off, and then before it starts oozing some more, I'm going to close that off, okay? Now, I want to make sure that the legs are running front to back on the toes. The front toe and the back toe, the wire is lined up that way, okay? Now, give me 1 second here. I'm going to show you something else I use. I have what they call an accelerator, which will allow that to set up real fast on for super glue, okay? So what I'll do is I'll spray this just like that, and that'll set that up instantly. And now, for those who don't want to get this is an accelerator, and I do have that available if you need it. If you didn't want that, you could just let it sit there. You wait about 15 minutes, and it's set. So it's set up right now, okay? And what I'm going to do is just make sure that the glue didn't go all over the place. I see some of it. Yep, I just did it. See that? Should have left it alone and give it a little more time for the accelerator. I'm going to put it down again, and I'm going to spray it one more time. It went too fast. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to let that dry a little bit. But when I get done, I'm going to come back on the underneath side. Let's see if I can do it on this one. I think this is set somewhat. So that the thing that isn't swiveled and everything else, I'm going to get this glue again, this gel super glue, and I'm just going to touch around where the feet and the wire is, okay? Just like that. Just let that dry, okay? I'm gonna go back to this one now. I'm gonna get that coming out there. And this way, it will give me that secured. And I'll put these upside down so that the feet are up in the air. And I'll let that dry. In the meantime, I will close this and set this back out of the way. Now, we'll let that go, okay? And then what I'm going to do, after that dries, I'm going to show you how we prep the metal so it will accept paint. And I'm going to do it for the casting as well, and I'm going to show you how we do that here. I'll let that dry in the meantime, but I want to show you the casting's the easy way out. You know, if you're just doing it for yourself and you're not doing competition work, castings are great, you know. And what I'm going to do here is this will plug it right into this here, and I can paint or do whatever I need to do on here I'm going to put a sealer on here. And the sealer I use is a Joe Sanyo. You can get real small tubes, containers, maybe the size of something like this. And, you know, it's maybe half of this size and half in quantity too. And this is a sealer. And what I do is I get a paintbrush. Let me get one out of here. Let's see. There's one here. I'm going to rinse my brush in the water. And I'm going to get, and it's a Joe Sanyo is the one I happen to use, but there's other sealers out there. Even if you have like a matte medium, that you could use that as well too. And here's what I do. I get some on my brush, okay? And it dries clear when you're done. And I come up to the thread area and I paint all of the toes, both top and bottom, and all the way around. You want to make sure everything's coated. And generally you'll get like a milky white on your metal here, which will tell you that you got most of it, okay? And I usually do a little bit on the post when we go to paint the post. If it gets a little paint down below, that's good. So I'll find a hole and I'll plug that in there. Now, you noticed I only did one little dip into that container. You don't need much at all. So I actually took some off for this one. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come up to that joint. And I'm painting all sides of it. You know, I better check that other side. Did I get that other side? Yeah, I got everything. Sometimes I get worrying about getting everything and forget something. So I'm getting all of this all sealed up. You can see there's like a shininess to the metal here, but when you get the sealer on, it like gets a little milky white, and it'll dry clear. So I'll plug that into another hole and let that sit, okay? And I'll let that air dry, and that'll take a little bit of time. Now I'm going to come back while I got these guys here, and I'll just make sure that they're solid, and they seem to be. And the glue should come up on to the wire just to make sure, and below onto the wire, so it's kind of solid. Now I'll come back again and I'll get a little bit on my brush here. That's probably more than I want, so I'll take that off. I'm going to come up to the wire where the first bend is, paint that all out with the sealer. Hope you can see this well. I'm going to make sure that everything gets a milky white coating on it, both on the underneath side. But you want to give it time, especially with the super glue. You don't want to use a real good brush. If that glue isn't set, it can ruin your brush. So you're not trying to use a good brush on this, but I would give it time. And I do a little bit on the post on the underneath side, and then I'm just going to come in, push in a little bit. Now I'm going to check this. I noticed I have a little bit of glue hanging out here, so I'm going to come in with my nippers. Just cut that off. There we go. And that leg is still pretty solid on there. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little more sealer on my brush. There we go. You can see I'm using very little on there. It goes a long way, and we don't have a big area to cover here anyway. So I'm going to flip this around. And what this does, this allows us to be able to paint the metal of the leg and the feet and accept the paint. Come back and get a little bit more. Sure. Okay. Get that. Make sure you get all the shininess off. You know, you don't want to overload it. You're just putting a real thin coat. Okay, but you want to get it onto the glue, onto the wire. And I'll plug that in. Now I want to rinse my brush. See, I got that all the way up into the furrow here, so I'm going to rinse that off. And then I'm going to come in and clean my brush so that that doesn't get onto that. There we go. And I got that cleaned up. So we're not going to be able to do too much to these right now. And what I'm going to do is jump back on the bird a little bit and let that dry. What we're going to do after this dries, and maybe I could talk it through to you, I'm going to get, I happen to be using an ivory black. I'm going to mix just a little bit of it in there with very little water. It's going to be creamy, and you want to paint the leg and the feet and the, both the rods or the wire all black. Okay, you don't need to do it all the way up at the top on these guys because we didn't have anything up above here. This is serrated somewhat, so it can be glued into the bird easier. But we're going to paint the whole thing black, okay? And we want to do that, and then you let it dry. You could put like 2 coats of any black, doesn't matter. This happens to be ivory black, but if you have another black available, go for it. You know, it's not going to hurt it at all. Black is black. There's variations of black, and I use Liquitex, but any acrylic paint will work, a black acrylic paint, okay? And I'm going to let these dry. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to go back to the bird, and let's see, which one do we have here? Yeah, here it is. Here's the bird. And what I want to show you is for the wire or the casting that I have here, there's a certain diameter. So I already checked that, and I'm going to come in here, and everybody always wants to know, where do you put the legs on the bird? So if you took the distance from the tail to the beak and found the midpoint, you could come in and put a dot right about the midpoint. Now here's like that center area that we excavated out. I'm going to say come over about 3/8 that way and 3/8 from the center this way, and put some pencil marks, okay? And that's what I did here and there. Now, I'm going to drill in on that. Now, for me, I use an auger. I get a device like this, but if you have a pick or something, you can come in, or even a nail, and you can plunge it in just so that when you drill, you're going to stay on that spot. So I come in, and that's like my starter holes for the legs. They're on center. They're about 3/8 apart this way, 3/8 that way. Let me just, I said that. Let me measure it just so I can be accurate. It's pretty close. It's probably a little shy of 3/8. Okay, so you'd be in the ballpark here. Now I got to drill out. I don't know what the size of it is, but I know it's the diameter of the casting. I was using the cast leg and all. So I'm going to set this up, this drill, and start going in probably about 1/2 inch, okay? And that hole will keep me on target. And that gets us set up, okay? Now, what we are now, we're set up for the feet to go in, and on the next go around, I will paint these, okay? And you can see that they'll be all black. Everything is going to be painted all black. The feet, the legs, and you don't have to do the upper portion of the leg, okay? So you're only doing from the elbow down, okay? And in the case of the castings, these here, there's like a threaded area, and then it's a little bit thicker there, and then it goes into the leg, and I'll show you how to do that too, okay? So this will prepare you to get the legs and the feet painted. Like I said, you're just going to use a creamy black, give it 2 coats, and it's maybe a drop or 2 of paint, and about maybe not even a 1/2 a pea of paint size anyway, and mix it real good, and then paint it, dry it in between, and do it twice, okay? So I think that'll get you prepped. I'm going to have that done on the next video so you could see it, but that's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to do the mixing off camera here, but I hope you got something out of this. This will now complete us. Oh, wait a minute. There's one other thing I wanted to do too. I'm sorry. Before we wrap this up, and I thought I brought it out. Bear with me 1 second. I don't see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. What I also want to do is the beak. I said I would finalize the beak, and this here is, you can get it in a smaller size too. This is gloss medium. It's they call it a varnish. Liquitech puts it out. I'm going to get the brush again, rinse it out with water. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you in here in a second. I'm going to take a little bit of that off. It just has a coating of this sealer, and I'm just going to paint just the beak, nowhere else, just on the beak. And what it does, it'll put, and I don't want you loading it up. This is just one thin coat. I'm going to do just the beak. You don't want to get it onto the hair or anything else like that. And I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to let it sit. Now this will put a glaze, okay? And you can almost see it. It's like shiny a little bit to start. I'm just going to let that sit and dry on its own. And that's all you need to do. And that'll give it a bony look. It'll give it like a satin finish when it dries. And bone is like hard, and it'll represent a look just like the beak would normally have. Okay, the beak has a little bit of a sheen on it, and that will get you right there. So I want to make sure you do that too. And the bird is basically done, except we got to now put all the pieces together. Okay, so on the next video, I'll show you how to mount the bird with the legs on it, and then how to get the setting going, where I use a base and a piece of driftwood, and how I set it all up. Okay, so hope you got something out of this video, and if you did, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up again. If you can subscribe to my channel, I appreciate that. And if you can pass my information on to a friend or two, that would be great too. So hope you enjoyed everything. We're going to have this bird fly very soon here. It's getting really close now. We may be able to wrap it up, I think, on the next video. So hope you enjoyed. So I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.